Okay. All right. So, hi, Danny.
Hi, Kumar. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, the request is really to just talk about the leadership cohort.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right. So,
So,
go ahead.
so what led to the leadership cohort?
Yeah.
For us, I was struggling with a way to really pivot the entire company and to get them to see what it is I saw coming. I realized that Agile was going to be the way of doing business in our community. And I wanted a way to really communicate that to the team. And I think the leadership cohort did a couple of different things for us. Number one, it gave us a foundational understanding of how to apply leadership to enacting that change.
Hmm.
One of those key principles that we took from that as a team was, those small, quick wins, figuring out ways to really get those wins early, and we've applied that in our everyday work, and it's been very successful.
Can you give us an example of that that sort of that practice into action?
Yeah. So when we first started going down this Agile path, we struggle with simple things like how to get a Kanban board up on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so that small win, that sense of pride that the team had when we were able to just stretch tape across the wall and put up our first Kanban board, it was so exciting. In fact, the team took a photo of it to distribute in our newsletter to show the rest of the company that we were moving in that direction. So that small win then led to other small wins. We decided we were going to prototype an Agile development process so that we would take all of our acquisition efforts and then apply the Agile principles to it. So we took a small effort and we successfully executed, that straw man model, and that gave us a small win. We learned some great things from it and we reapplied them.
That's great. Yeah, I remember that effort, the whole value stream mapping exercise and everything that went around it. For your leadership team, I remember back in whenever it was that we did the class. November of last year. Yeah, for your leadership team, what do you think having that team together do the class? What did that bring them? The week that we were together there.
So we've all worked together. I think what it brought us for the most part was a commonality and an understanding. When we were able to lay out what our values were, what we stood for, I was really surprised at how closely coupled we were around family and about integrity and about transparency. Those words, although I didn't speak them to people, it resonated with so many members of our team. So I think we learned a lot about each other, and we also learned how each person led. Some people were more coaches, some people were more totalitarian, some people were more dictators, but that was eye-opening as well.
Yeah, that was that leadership styles exercise we did in the workshop, where you did a self-assessment about your style, the leadership style you apply most of the time, and that came out right along with the values exercise that we did, which is now painted on your wall.
Yes.
In your break room, which is pretty awesome. So having been through this experience, what would you say Agile leadership means to you?
So to me, I'll use this pandemic as an example. Agile leadership, normally change is very hard for people to do. And what Agile leadership did for us was it enabled us to really pivot without mercy. Where before, if we'd sunken money into a project or we'd sunken money into an opportunity, we just kind of dogmatically held on to it and wouldn't let it go, even though we knew our chances were dwindling of winning or the project being successful. During COVID, we stopped in a single day, pivoted away from all the things that we knew were not going to come out, that we had no opportunity of doing the work, and pivoted to work that we thought we can do in this post-COVID world. That was all done in a matter of days with the company, and people embraced it because they knew the terminology, they knew the principles, and we would not have been able to do that as a company. And therefore, we've had great success during this pandemic when a lot of companies have struggled.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
The ability to pivot, the ability to work on the things that are the most important in this time, right? So the COVID is really stressing the system as we know it in ways that are unimaginable. And the companies that survive are the ones that are agile, nimble, whatever you want to call it, right? That are able to pivot quickly and explore new market opportunities, and that maybe they thought they didn't have any chance of doing before or maybe they just didn't come up because it was, complacency kind of sets in, right? You've got your core set of customers and so on and so forth. That's really good to hear. So I'm so glad to hear that you're putting to practice the things that you learned in the workshop and then, of course, in the cohort going forward. What would you say the next steps are for you and the company? And I guess your leadership team more specifically.
So your timing is impeccable as always. So today I actually did a 1-hour presentation of the company roadmap.
Yeah.
And we laid out based on, our value proposition that we had identified last year, what work we were going to go after. And then we looked at each of the strategic themes that we had identified. And then we mapped to those themes the things that we're going to do that enable that work. And that all fed up to the goals of the company that I had set going forward. And so as a company, everyone got an opportunity to see what the roadmap looks like and then identify where their contribution needs to be to enable the success of that program or that opportunity. So today we did that. And so the next step for us is that we're going to continue to train and educate the lean, agile, way, and we're going to continue to provide leadership across all the components of our team, so that we're all on the same page and we're all moving ahead in the same direction.
That's awesome. It's great to hear. Yeah. What would you say to other companies that are out there, struggling or not, in terms of a blueprint to follow, if you will?
Well, I'll say this: if you're a company in business, and I don't care what your business is, in my mind, all business is software, and you have to be agile and nimble. And so let's just think about the rate of change that occurs. Years ago, we were in 2G, and then we went to 3G. And then 2 years ago, we were at 4G. Well, guess what? Now here we are 2 years later, we're at 5G. The world is changing very fast. Technology is changing. Services, how we deliver to each other is changing very fast. If you're not adapting, if you're not applying agile leadership to how you run the company, how you train your managers, your leaders, you will not keep up. In order to keep up with this environment, you have to have a mindset of leadership that is agile, that understands those principles.
Yeah, that's so well said. And as far as the capability accelerator program that you took advantage of, right, and that Agile Meridian offered, how did you've already said it's been really helpful and helped to sort of set the mindset for the company. I guess I'm just going to ask for a shameless plug, right? So how do you think that can help a company as you said it's helped you?
Well, if you want to really move at the speed of light, you need to have an accelerator course, like the one provided by Kumar, because what it does, it gives you that sense of urgency. Because when we came out of that course, We came out with a sense of urgency to change the company, to educate more people, to get more training ourselves in that. And without that sense of urgency that I think the Accelerator course gave us, I think we would have still been dragging our feet trying to get this done years down the road. And I'll share this story with you. Here's the difference between us today and here post Accelerator course. It took a year to get under contract to actually sign and have you come and present the materials to us.
Yeah.
But since that time, we don't delay like that anymore. We make a decision and then we move forward very quickly. And I think the Accelerator course did that for us because now we are holding each other accountable to those same Agile principles.
That's great. It brings to mind a team I was coaching some time ago, and it was what they were really interested in bringing down, the cycle time down for was decision time, how long it takes to make a decision. And what they were struggling with was the number of people that had to weigh in on the decision before they could make the decision, right? And the company is very siloed, very hierarchical. And so it would take many months before something simple could be decided and executed upon, right? And so we put some things in place to help reduce that decision time metric. And it was something that we're really aware of, and it really helped them sort of bring down that decision time, or does everyone have to be involved in the decision-making process? Can we organize our teams in some way that they have some decision-making authority that is distributed decision-making authority that allows them to make the decision because they have all the information at hand? So all those things help them, sort of conspired to help them to bring their decision-making framework to months to, in some cases, days, right? Which is huge for them. And it sounds like this workshop and course has done something similar without actually thinking about it, but you've gotten to the same outcome, the same result.
Absolutely. And to share a story with you, immediately following the Accelerator course, that decision tree is what we examine the very first thing. And I'll give you an example. We have to purchase a piece of equipment. I didn't realize, but it took 8 different people to approve of purchasing equipment. And so when we started looking at, well, why 8 different people? What we found was it really only took 2. And so, what we did was we pushed down the responsibility to decision making to the people who owned the work and owned the responsibility. And once we did that, things started to accelerate, not only the purchasing, but how we did contracts, everything started to accelerate.
Well, that's really awesome. I can't take credit for all of that. I just feel honored that I was part of it, some small part of it, that maybe the catalyst, right, to help you and your leadership team sort of adopt this type of a mindset. And it seems like it's they're catalyzing others within the company, right?
Yeah.
And so this is becoming part of the sort of the way you work at DeNovo. So I'm really thankful. Thank you for again for allowing me to come in and help in however small way I was able to do that.
Well, I think you're being humble. I think any, the Cohort training for us, it taught us a lot, but I'll tell you, the greatest impact is that you help us identify that there's a growth mindset and then there's that closed set mindset, right?
Yeah.
And we had people of both types in that cohort, in the leadership training. And when we came out of that, they were able to identify who they were, and then they set about changing their mind to have a growth mindset. And so that's one of the greatest benefits that came out of the leadership training that you provided, Kumar, was people were able to examine their own mindset and realize they didn't have a growth mindset, and then set off on a path to change that. And it's had a remarkable impact in the company.
I'm getting chills Danny.
No.
Seriously, I
Yeah,
really am. I mean, I feel like, you know, that sort of introspection, that inward look, that allows you to unlock and really be aware emotionally of your strengths and areas of weakness is so important for a leader. And it sounds like what you're saying, your team really embraced that type of a mindset, a growth mindset that really allows them to become more self-aware, right? Which is also a part of the course, the emotional intelligence portion of it. And examining that and improving that going forward, right? So that's just so awesome to hear.
Yeah, and to me, that's the gift that keeps on giving, right?
Yeah.
That training was done in November, and here we are in July, and it's still having that impact. And every meeting we have, you can see the impact of that. And that's one of the benefits. Without the cohort training, without the leadership course, I don't think we would have made that leap so quickly. But here, having someone to facilitate that, to coach the team, to help them do that introspective look at themselves, it was just tremendously valuable.
That's great to hear. Thank you for that.